The sun streamed through the half-drawn blinds of Sophia's apartment, casting strips of light across the floor where she sat motionless, clutching her phone. The text message that had just arrived was only 7 words long, but they were 7 words that would alter the course of her life forever. This isn't working. Your weight changes everything. 3 years together, dissolved in a single text message. 3 years of shared dreams, promises of forever, all abandoned because her body had changed. In the aftermath of her father's death 6 months earlier, Sophia had found comfort in food, gradually gaining nearly 40 pounds as she navigated her grief. What she hadn't expected was that her physical transformation would lead to the dissolution of what she had believed was an unbreakable bond. "I just don't find you attractive anymore," Marcus had told her during their last face-to-face conversation a week earlier, his eyes refusing to meet hers. "I've tried, but I can't get past it." That night, alone in her apartment, Sophia allowed herself one evening of complete breakdown. Tears streaming down her face as she alternated between crippling self-loathing and burning rage. By morning, something had hardened within her. Not in a cold way, but in a way that felt like the formation of something new and unbreakable at her core. "This will not destroy me," she whispered to her reflection, red-eyed and exhausted. "This will be the beginning of something else." The first weeks were the hardest. Sophia battled the twin demons of heartbreak and self-image issues. She avoided social media, unable to bear the happy couple photos that Marcus had already begun posting with someone. Knew someone whose body more closely resembled what Sophia's had been when they first met. Her closest friend, Amelia, became her lifeline during this period, showing up unannounced with healthy meals and refusing to let Sophia spiral into isolation. "You're going to get through this," Amelia insisted during one particularly difficult evening, "and you're going to come out stronger." Not for him, for yourself. It was Amelia who first suggested that Sophia join her for a beginner's class at the local gym. Sophia resisted initially, terrified of the judgment she imagined would await her. "I can't," she protested. "Everyone will stare." "Maybe," Amelia conceded, "but not for the reasons you think. And anyway, what's the alternative? Letting someone else's opinion determine how you live your life. You've already done that for too long." That comment struck Sophia with the force of revelation. How much of her identity had been shaped around Marcus's preferences? How many decisions had been subtly influenced by what he might think? The realization was both painful and liberating. The following Saturday, Sophia stood nervously at the entrance of Fit Life Gym, her heart pounding as if she were about to step onto a battlefield rather than into a fitness class. In many ways, that's exactly what it was, a battle for her self-worth. The first class was exactly as difficult as Sophia had feared it would be. Her body, unaccustomed to structured exercise, protested every movement. She positioned herself in the back corner, hoping to remain invisible. But the instructor, a powerfully built woman named Vanessa with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude, seemed to have other ideas. "Everyone starts somewhere," Vanessa told her after class, when Sophia was red-faced and struggling to catch her breath. "The only difference between you and the people at the front of the class is time and consistency." Something about Vanessa's matter-of-fact encouragement resonated with Sophia. There was no pity in her voice, only recognition of a universal truth. Transformation was possible for anyone willing to put in the work. That night, Sophia created a simple journal entry. "Day 1 of the rest of my life." Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Sophia's journey wasn't linear. There were setbacks, moments of frustration, and days when the mirror seemed to reflect no change, despite her efforts. But gradually, almost imperceptibly at first, things began to shift. It wasn't just her body that was changing. Something was happening to Sophia's mind as well. With each class she completed, each small fitness goal she achieved, she began to understand that her worth wasn't tied to her appearance or to anyone else's validation. Her strength was her own, hard-earned and undeniable. 6 months into her fitness journey, Sophia made a decision that would unexpectedly change the trajectory of her life. After a particularly challenging workout, feeling simultaneously exhausted and exhilarated, she opened her laptop and began to write. I was abandoned because of my weight. Here's what happened next. The words flowed from her fingers with surprising ease. She wrote about the heartbreak, the shame, the struggle to rebuild. She wrote about finding strength she didn't know she possessed. She wrote without filtering, without worrying who might read it. It was catharsis in its purest form. When she finally looked up, 3 hours had passed. On an impulse, she created a blog account and posted what she had written under the title, Abandoned Day 1 of Forever. Then she closed her laptop and went to bed, expecting nothing. By morning, Sophia's post had been shared hundreds of times. Comments flooded in, mostly from women with similar experiences. Women who had been made to feel that their worth was inextricably linked to their physical appearance. Women who were hungry for stories of authentic transformation that acknowledged both the pain and possibility of starting over. I never meant to become a writer, Sophia would later say in interviews. I was just looking for a way to make sense of what I was experiencing. It turns out that when you tell your truth without apology, people respond. Sophia continued to document her journey, posting weekly updates that combined practical fitness advice with raw emotional insights. Her following grew exponentially. What had begun as personal catharsis evolved into a community of support and accountability. 1 year after Marcus's devastating text message, Sophia had lost 35 pounds, but the A number on the scale had become almost incidental compared to what she had gained: strength, confidence, and a powerful voice that resonated with thousands of women around the world. It was around this time that Vanessa, who had become both mentor and friend, suggested that Sophia consider becoming certified as a fitness instructor. You connect with people in a way that can't be taught, Vanessa told her. You understand the mental barriers because you've lived them. We need more instructors like you. The idea terrified and excited Sophia in equal measure. Could she really stand at the front of a class and lead others? Could she embody the confidence and expertise that she still sometimes struggled to recognize in herself? The answer, she discovered, was yes. Sophia's first class as an instructor was for a group specifically, created for newcomers to fitness, people who, like she had been, were intimidated by gym culture and uncertain of their capabilities. I'm not going to promise that this will be easy, she told them, her voice steady despite her racing heart. But I can promise you that it's possible. I know because I was standing exactly where you are now not so long ago. The authenticity of her approach resonated deeply. Her classes quickly became the most popular at FitLife, often with waiting lists. Sophia developed a teaching style that emphasized progress over perfection, celebration of effort over results, and the understanding that fitness was as much about mental resilience as physical capability. As her professional life flourished, Sophia continued to write. Her blog evolved into a multimedia platform where she shared workouts, nutritional advice, and most importantly, stories, her own and those of the women in her community who were reclaiming their power. The weight loss was never the real transformation, she wrote in one of her most widely shared posts. The real transformation was learning that I am valuable and worthy of love exactly as I at any size. The real transformation was understanding that anyone who makes their love conditional upon your appearance doesn't understand what love is. 2 years after her journey began, Sophia received an email that she initially assumed was spam. A literary agent who had been following her blog was interested in discussing the possibility of a book deal. Your story and your voice are exactly what the wellness industry needs right now, the agent, Rebecca Goldman, told her during their first call. So many fitness books focus exclusively on diet plans and exercise routines. What you offer is something much more comprehensive, a roadmap for total transformation from the inside out. The book deal that followed was beyond anything Sophia could have imagined. What emerged after months of writing and refining was Abandoned, Finding Strength Through Rejection. Part memoir, part self-help guide, part fitness manual. It was a holistic approach to wellness that acknowledged the complex interplay between emotional health and physical well-being. Published with modest expectations, the book struck a chord that surprised even its publisher. It debuted on the New York Times bestseller list and stayed there for 28 consecutive weeks. Sophia found herself being invited onto national talk shows and featured in magazines that she had once flipped through while battling her own insecurities. "It's surreal," she confessed during one interview. 3 years ago, I was at my lowest point, convinced that I had lost not just my relationship, but my value as a person. If someone had told me then that my pain would eventually become purpose, I wouldn't have believed them. But that's exactly what happened. On a crisp autumn morning, almost exactly 3 years after receiving Marcus's text message, Sophia stood before a crowd of hundreds at the grand opening of her own fitness studio. Reclaimed Strength. The space was designed specifically to be welcoming to beginners and those who had previously felt excluded from traditional gym environments. As she cut the ceremonial ribbon, Sophia caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd. Marcus stood near the back, looking both uncomfortable and somehow smaller than she remembered. Their eyes met briefly across the distance. There had been a time when such an encounter would have devastated her, when his presence would have triggered all the old insecurities and pain. But as they regarded each other across the crowded space, Sophia felt something unexpected. Gratitude. Not gratitude for his cruel dismissal or for the pain he had caused, but gratitude for the journey that had followed. Had he not rejected her in that moment of vulnerability, would she have discovered her own strength? Would she have found her voice and her purpose? After the ceremony, he approached her hesitantly. "Congratulations," he said, his eyes taking in the space, the crowd, the evidence of her success. "I've seen your book everywhere. I'm really happy for you." Sophia smiled, genuinely but briefly. "Thank you," she replied. There was no bitterness in her voice, no lingering resentment. She had long ago released the weight of his rejection, finding it far heavier than any physical pounds she had carried. As he walked away, Amelia appeared at her side. "Are you okay?" she asked, concerned. Sophia watched Marcus's retreating figure for a moment, before turning to survey the bustling studio. Her vision brought to life, filled with people beginning their own journeys of transformation. "I'm better than okay," she answered truthfully. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Today, 5 years after that life-altering text message, Sophia's influence extends far beyond her best-selling book or her thriving fitness studio. She has created a foundation that provides fitness scholarships to women recovering from trauma or major life transitions, believing firmly that physical strength can be a pathway to emotional healing. Her second book, Beyond the Physical, the Spiritual Side of Fitness, explores the deeper dimensions of wellness and has further established her as a thought leader in the space where physical health and emotional well-being intersect. What began as one woman's journey of personal recovery has evolved into a movement that continues to inspire thousands. Sophia's story reminds us that sometimes our greatest pain can lead to our most profound purpose if we have the courage to keep moving forward. The message was never really about weight loss. Sophia explains to the groups of women who attend her speaking engagements around the country. It's about understanding that rejection, even the most painful kind, doesn't define you. It refines you. It shows you what you're made of. And sometimes, when someone walks away from you because they can't see your value, they're actually clearing the path for you to discover it yourself. At the entrance to her studio, a simple framed quote greets everyone who enters. "Your transformation is not about becoming someone new. It's about reclaiming who you've always been." These words, like Sophia herself, stand as a testament to the power of resilience, a reminder that sometimes what feels like an ending is actually the beginning of something far more beautiful than we could have imagined. So that was the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel and comment what you thought of the video. Until the next video.